He who brought the treasure of divine love and who was filled with compassion and mercy. Where has such a personality as Srinivas Acharya gone? Where are my Sarup Damodar and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatana? Where is Raghunath Das, the savior of the fallen? Where are my Raghunath Bhatta and Gopala Bhatta? And where is Krishnadas Kaviraj? Where did Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go? I will smash my head against a rock and enter into fire. Where will I find Lord Gauranga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities? Being unable to obtain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all of these devotees, in whose association he performed his pastimes, Narottama Das simply weeps. Very special day today. Feels strange without the microphone. But Disappearance today of Srila Prabhupada. So I'm going to read from the 6th volume of the Lilamrita, Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, Uniting Two Worlds. And it's toward the back. And I'm going to try to leave some time at the end for anybody who wants to, may have something they want to say. Did anybody notice baby Krishna was crawling around that tree before it fell back there?
There are 2 of them that were standing side by side. Only one fell there.
So it's a live oak?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's a live
A
oak.
different kind of oak.
It's not a live oak.
Well, it's not live
I think it's
anymore.
white.
Water,
I think it's
oak,
white.
white oak.
A white oak?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
Good firewood.
So when you had electricity, did you have electricity?
Yeah. Did you?
When I left from the electric, I just thought it went out everywhere.
No.
This is from the chapter, The Final Lesson. Up until the end, there were interludes of sweetness, as well as displays of Prabhupada's indomitable mood of fighting for Krishna. One day, Prabhupada's sister, Pishima, arrived unexpectedly, and Prabhupada asked her to cook khichdi. At that time, Kirtananda was trying to put Prabhupada on the road to recovery by gradually increasing his liquids, and Kirtananda and the other devotees opposed the idea of his suddenly eating solid foods. But Srila Prabhupada insisted, quote, "It doesn't matter whether what she cooks does good to me or bad," said Srila Prabhupada. "She is a Vaishnavi. It will be good for me." He then began speaking in an extremely humble way. "Probably I became a little puffed up because of my opulence and success," he said. "Now God has shattered that pride. If you don't have your body, what is there to be puffed up about?" Bhakti Churu Swami protested, "Srila Prabhupada, whatever you have done for Krishna. That may be, but in this world, unknowingly, you commit offenses." When Pishima heard this, she exclaimed, No, he never committed any offense." "You cannot ever commit offenses," said Bhakti Churu. "You are God's very dear one. How can you commit offenses?" "I am a little temperamental," said Srila Prabhupada. "I used to use words like rascal and so on. I never compromised. They used to call it a club in one hand and a Bhagavatam in the other. That is how I preach. Anyway, make arrangements for my sister." There were also visits from Srila Prabhupada's godbrothers And again, Prabhupada asked forgiveness for his offenses. One time, ISKCON, Krishnadas Babaji, Puri Maharaj, Ashrama Maharaj, Ananda Prabhu, Purusottama Brahmachari, and about 20 others came and sat next to Prabhupada's bed. He was resting when they arrived, and they joined the kirtan until he awoke. When he saw them, he asked to be raised up. Sitting in the center of his bed with his godbrothers all around, he addressed them. All over the world, there is a beautiful field to preach Krishna consciousness, he said. I didn't care whether I would be successful or not. People are willing to take. They are all taking also. If we preach together, the saying of Mahaprabhu, Priti Virte, will come true. We have everything. Spread the holy name and distribute prasadam. There is a beautiful field in Africa, in Russia, everywhere. They're accepting. When Prabhupada began asking godbrothers to forgive him, they protested. You are the eternal leader. One of them asserted, you rule over us, guide us, and chastise us. Forgive all my offenses, Prabhupada repeated. I became proud of all my opulence. No, said Puri Maharaj, you never became proud. When you started preaching, opulence and success followed you. That was the blessing of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Krishna. There cannot be any question of your being offensive.
Confirmation!
Confirmation!
The opulence has followed you.
Confirmation! Wow.
Oh, Krishna.
Who's this now? Wow. What a beautiful time.
Big power.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
What?
Is that my hand?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess I need that light one. Let's use this one. Is that speaker turned on over there? It's probably turned
Let
on.
me see. It is now.
So I said, the last thing I said was, there cannot be any question of your being offensive. Was that the last thing?
Yeah.
And like you all were saying, no, said Puri Maharaj, you never became proud. When you started preaching, opulence and success followed you. That was the blessing of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Krishna. There cannot be any question of your being offensive. Then the electricity came on. Beautiful. When Srila Prabhupada presented himself as Mahapatita, greatly fallen, Puri Maharaj, thank you, Prabhuji. Puri Maharaj did not accept it. Quote, you have saved millions of people around the world, he said. Therefore, there is no question of offense. But you should be called Mahapatita Pavana, the great savior of the fallen. Wow. I want to remember that one. Mahapatita Pavana, the great savior of the fallen. Prabhupada's disciples regarded Prabhupada's asking for his godbrother's forgiveness as a manifestation of his humility, but they were also puzzled. Certainly, Prabhupada's godbrothers were sincere in saying Prabhupada had committed no offense. Whatever he had done for Krishna. But Srila Prabhupada was also sincere in asking for forgiveness. That was the beautiful gem of his ability, to ask everyone for forgiveness. For the purpose, confirmation again. For the purpose of preaching, displaying this gem had not always been the most effective way to spread the merciful teachings of Lord Krishna in every town and village. And now it could be displayed. That was the beautiful gem of his humility, to ask everyone for forgiveness. For the purpose of preaching, displaying this gem had not always been the most effective way to spread the merciful teachings of Lord Krishna in every town and village. But now it could be displayed. In London and now in Vrindavan, Prabhupada was showing his disciples extra affection and gratitude without the reprimands of usually necessary in training disciples. This attitude of complete humility was a symptom of the highest stage of devotional life. Srila Prabhupada had explained in his books that the Madhyamadikari, the second-class devotee, makes distinctions between the devotees, the innocent, the non-devotees, and the demons, whereas the Mahabhagavat, or first-class devotee, sees everyone except himself as a servant of God. The Mahabhagavat, or first-class devotee, sees everyone except himself as a servant of God. Sometimes, however, the Mahabhagavat desires to come down from the first-class platform to the second-class platform just to take up the most compassionate service of preaching Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada's disciples had all read of the Mahabhagavat stage in the scriptures, and now they were seeing it fully displayed, as Prabhupada referred to himself as the most fallen and asked for everyone's forgiveness. So that ends one little section, and this is another little section. Srila Prabhupada had heard of the program of the disciple Lokanath Swami, who was taking a small group of men on a bullock cart and preaching in villages throughout India. Lokanath had told Srila Prabhupada how in the course of their travels they had recently visited tirthas such as Badrikashram and Bhim-Kapur. Srila Prabhupada was enlivened to hear this, and he then evolved a transcendental desire to go himself on a cart pulled by bullocks to circumambulate the area of Vrindavan. Tama Krishna and Bhavananda, who were serving Prabhupada with increased intimacy, felt themselves unable to support Srila Prabhupada in his desire, since they thought his fragile body could not survive such rough treatment on the roads. But Srila Prabhupada reasoned that dying, quote, dying on parikrama is glorious, and he asked them to take him. A controversy developed among the devotees, as some said Prabhupada's will to go on parikrama should be immediately honored as an order from the spiritual master. He wanted it, and he should not be denied. The doctor, however, assured them that Srila Prabhupada's body would not survive the jostling of the cart. The many devotees who crowded around Srila Prabhupada's bed held different opinions, and Prabhupada could see this. Following his request, however, Lokanath went out and hired a cart with bullocks and prepared it for the ride. Lokanath and Hansaduta suggested that the parikrama could go to the city of Vrindavan or visit the 7 main temples of the Goswamis. But then they said that since the next day was Govardhan Puja, Prabhupada could go to Govardhan Hill. Krishna, Bhavananda, and Bhakti Charu, however, protested adamantly against the parikrama. Quote, "One-day experiment," Prabhupada said. "It is for one day. Rest assured, I will not die in one day." He liked the idea of going to Govardhan. Quote, "And we shall make our cooking there," he said. Lokanath Swami, he assured them, was experienced. "Make very good picnic," he said. After discussing back and forth, the devotees finally decided that early the next morning they would take Srila Prabhupada in a bullock cart to Govardhan. The majority of the devotees then left Srila Prabhupada alone for the night. Later that night, Srila Prabhupada received a visit from Nishkinchana Krishnadas Bhaviraj, who sat with Prabhupada chanting and sometimes speaking in Bengali. Suddenly, Krishna and Bhavananda came to Prabhupada's bedside. They were in tears and beside themselves with anxiety. Prabhupada understood. "You request me not to go?" he asked. "Well," Srila Prabhupada said to Krishna, "I'll tell you, I'm getting so upset sitting in the room upstairs. I was walking around. Two of the devotees told me that this road is so bad that if you go on this road, you're going to be jolted back and forth. The road is terrible. I just can't understand, Srila Prabhupada, why it has to be tomorrow that we have to go. Of anybody that wants you to travel, I do. But why do we have to go when you're in this condition? I can't understand it. Why are we throwing everything out the window that we must go tomorrow? I can't understand." "All right," said Srila Prabhupada softly, immediately agreeing to their proposal that he not go. "Jai Srila Prabhupada," said Bhakti Charu, who was also present. "Thank you, Srila Prabhupada," said Bhavananda with great relief. "All right, you're satisfied." "Now I am," Srila Prabhupada said Bhavananda. "Yes, I was in too much anxiety." "Never mind, I shall not put you in anxiety. Actually," Srila Prabhupada said to Krishna, "we're so much attached to you that you practically drive us to madness sometimes. Tonight, we were becoming mad." No, I shall not do that," said Prabhupada. "Babaji Maharaj." No, I shall not do that," said Prabhupada. "Babaji Maharaj." Prabhupada turned to his Kinchana Krishnadas Bhaviraj, Babaji, and said, "Just see how much affection they have for me." Srila Prabhupada said to Krishna, "The way you deal with us simply deepens our attachment every moment." "That is my duty," said Prabhupada, and the devotees laughed warmly, understanding. Yes, they can understand. That was his duty. By all his actions and dealings, Prabhupada's intention was to capture spirit souls and deliver them to Krishna. His method was loving service, but he did not do it for himself. He was delivering them to Krishna. That was his duty. And if that part ends, and we start another part here. On November 14, 1977, at 7:30 p.m., in his room at the Krishna Balaram Mandir in Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada gave his final instruction by leaving this mortal world, going back to Godhead. His departure was exemplary because his whole life was exemplary. His departure marked the completion of a lifetime of pure devotional service to Krishna. A few days before the end, Srila Prabhupada had said he was instructing as far as he could, and his secretary had added, quote, "You are the inspiration." "Yes," Srila Prabhupada had replied, "that I shall do until the last breathing." Prabhupada's last breathing was glorious, not because of any last-minute mystical demonstration, but because Srila Prabhupada remained in perfect Krishna consciousness. My grandfather Bhishmadev, he remained completely collected and noble and grave, teaching until the end. He was preaching that life comes from life, not from matter. And he was showing that the one should preach with every breath he has. Wow. The many devotees who crowded the large room bore witness that up to the very end, Prabhupada remained exactly the same. There was nothing suddenly incongruous with what he had previously shown and taught them. At the time of his departure, therefore, he was teaching how to die by always depending on Krishna. Prabhupada's passing away was peaceful. During the evening of November 14th, the Kaviraj asked him, "Is there anything you want?" And Prabhupada replied faintly, "Kuch icha na him." I have no desire. His passing away was in the perfect situation in Vrindavan with devotees. A few months previously, a young girl, the daughter of one of Prabhupada's disciples, had passed away in Vrindavan. And when Srila Prabhupada had been asked if she went back to Godhead to personally associate with Krishna, he said, yes. Anyone who leaves his body in Vrindavan is liberated. Of course, Vrindavan also means the state of pure Krishna consciousness. As Advaita Acharya had said of Lord Chaitanya, wherever you are is Vrindavan. And this was also true of Srila Prabhupada. Had Srila Prabhupada passed away in London, New York, or Moscow, therefore his destination would have been the same. As Lord Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita, quote, one who is always thinking of me surely attains to me, end quote. But because the Vrindavan Dham is the quintessential realm of Krishna consciousness within the universe, the ideal place for departure from this world, so it was yet another exemplary feature of Srila Prabhupada's life that he went back to Godhead with Vrindavan as his last junction. Those Vaishnavas who had taken the vow never to risk leaving Vrindavan could see that Srila Prabhupada, after sacrificing everything, including the benefit of residing in Vrindavan, to deliver fallen souls in the most God-forsaken locations of the world, had returned to the holy land of Vrindavan, and from there had departed for the original abode of Lord Krishna in the spiritual sky. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, quote, anyone who executes service in Vrindavan certainly goes back to home, back to Godhead, after giving up his body. Srila Prabhupada's departure was also perfect because he was chanting and hearing the holy names of God. Thus the Supreme Personality of Godhead was present at Srila Prabhupada's passing, just as he was at the celebrated passing away of Bhishmadev, who said, quote, despite his being equally kind to everyone, he has graciously come before me while I am ending my life, for I am his unflinching servitor. As Lord Krishna came before Bhishmadev, assuring him and everyone else that Bhishma was returning back to Godhead on leaving his body, so the Lord, in his incarnation of Nama Avatar, the Hare Krishna mantra, was present for Srila Prabhupada's departure. Srila Prabhupada's life had been dedicated to spreading the holy name to every town and village, and for a month he had been surrounding himself with the holy name. For his passing away, he especially wanted to fill the room with devotees, chanting Hare Krishna, and Krishna fulfilled that wish. Srila Prabhupada therefore departed under the most favorable circumstances possible in the most sacred place, Vrindavan, surrounded by Vaishnavas, chanting the holy name. An ideal spiritual teacher, Acharya, always acts in such a way that others may follow his example. As Srimad Bhagavatam states, these great souls who cross over the ocean of birth and death by taking shelter of the, quote, boat of the lotus feet of Krishna, miraculously leave the boat on this side for others to use. And Srila Prabhupada's disappearance, by its perfect example, affords all conditioned souls the means for meeting the greatest of all dangers. An auspicious death is not merely a matter of psychological adjustment, so that one may die without regret or without becoming unduly upset. The real point is that at the time of death, the soul must leave the body and take its next birth. Only the Krishna-conscious soul can leave this world of birth and death and attain an eternal, blissful life in the spiritual world. Therefore, one's life is tested at death. Death means the soul cannot stand to live in the body anymore. Whatever the material cause may be, the situation has become unbearable for the soul, and leaving the body causes great distress. The Shastras therefore advise us to get free from the cycle of repeated birth and death, meaning an inauspicious death and being dragged down to a lower birth is the most fearful thing for the living being. So fearful is it that we may try to ignore death altogether. Death is painful because the eternal spirit soul is placed in a most unnatural situation. Although he is eternal and should not have to die, he is forced to die because of his connection with the material body. At death, the eternal soul is forced to leave the body for a destination he knows not. Thus he is full of fear and suffering. The pain and fear are usually overwhelming, and one thinks only of material attachments or bodily pain. Therefore King Kulashankar prayed, and Prabhupada often quoted, quote, "Please let me pass away, not in some prolonged contemplation of my bodily death, but just while I am chanting Hare Krishna. If I can meditate on you and then pass from this body, that will be perfection." Over the last months of his life in this world, Srila Prabhupada taught how it is possible to meet death step by step in Krishna consciousness. In his last days, he told one of his sannyasis, quote, "Don't think this isn't going to happen to you." Prabhupada came into this world on Krishna's request to teach us how to live a pure life of Krishna consciousness. And that includes how to finally pass away from this world to attain eternal life. Prabhupada underwent death in a way that was perfect and glorious, and at the same time, in a way which we can all follow. When we have to go, we can cling to the memory of how the great soul left his body, always thinking of Krishna, surrounding himself with the medicine of chanting Hare Krishna, always desiring to hear about Krishna, and practicing detachment from the misery of the material condition. This last lesson was one of the most wonderful and important instructions that Srila Prabhupada gave us. He taught by his life, by his books, and at the end by his dying. Education is how to die. Education in how to die is meant especially for the human being. An animal dies and a human being also dies. But a human being is supposed to understand the process of going back to the spiritual world at the time of death. Many always fixed and undisturbed in Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada expertly taught the process. His passing away, therefore, was a perfect lesson, and one that can be faithfully followed.
John.
What time is it? Past 8:30, isn't it?
Yeah. 20 till.
Did anybody else want to continue reading, or anybody else want to say anything?
Srila Prabhupada
Ki
ki
jai.
Bye.
I go as a